Hey, it is the end of 2025, and you know what that means? We're going to talk about all the bad stuff that happened and, maybe a couple of good things. So, welcome to Generator Live. I'm Matt. I've got a lower third here somewhere. I think it's going to wind up showing right there. Yeah, that's me. That's Generator Podcast. So, tonight, I've got a very special guest. So, a couple episodes ago, my buddy Ben Marcum showed up and we had a great time. We talked about all sorts of things, video and social media, and we got real vulnerable and we talked about some internal pressures and we talked about bodies and all sorts of things. And we had a great time. And I wanted to bring him back at this point because I want to wrap up 2025 and talk about a whole slew of topics. And I've been watching Ben do his thing with short form video, and man, he's just doing it right. We're going to talk about some really cool stuff. But before I get too into everything, let's bring him up, shall we? Ben, how are you, my friend?
I am well. How are you?
I'm still here. I'm upright. I'm breathing, and I made it through another year despite the universe's best efforts. So here we are. Oh,
Here,
you got a little
indeed.
holiday cheer, as do I. In my Palmetto State Armory cup, I've got a whole bunch of hot chocolate with a lot of holiday cheer in it. So we'll see
Uh,
where we get
I
to.
went straight with holiday cheer. Very little to no hot chocolate.
Dude, I was going to go all in on the bourbon tonight, and I realized I don't have any. I thought I had some in the back of my cabinet, right? Because I kind of sobered up this year. I really haven't been drinking a whole lot. And after WPPI last year, I was like, I need to dry out a little bit. And so Vegas will do that to you. So I've been kind of on and off the wagon. I'll have cocktails here, but I was just like, I've always got a bottle of bourbon in the house. So I got to have something, a bottle of Bullet or, Angel's Envy or something sitting in the back of the cabinet. Nope. Digging it out, digging it out, digging it out. So all I have are clear liquids, which are good for women on diets. So all I have is a little bit of vodka, but a little bit is kind of like a Home Depot bucket worth.
See,
So
that was before I came on air because I got home from the studio and that's dirty vodka martini time. So it was clear, and then it was a little greenish, and now we're hanging out. So
perfect. I love it. Love it. And once the edibles kick in, then I have no idea what's going to happen. So
this is gonna be a good
it's going to
show.
be a good show. This one's one for the ages. So I wanted to do a couple of things tonight. And for those of you that are going to be joining us in the conversation, got a couple things going on for this show in particular. Obviously, we're going to be talking about things in 2025. We're going to be talking about 2026. But I want you, as you're watching us cover all these topics, I want you to go into the chat and tell us what your biggest goal of 2026 is. Want to see it? I'll put it up on screen. We'll make fun of you or support you, whichever you like. And that would be great. So if you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook, because I'm streaming both places, just drop it in the chat and we'll just kind of have this conversation. And if you're dying to come up here, let me know. And if you're not a complete moron, then maybe I'll add you to the stream. Who knows? Maybe I should edit that out. Let me back that up. Just join the comments and we'll go from there. All right. So, all that being said, let us commence. How have your holidays been? I saw your video today saying that you were kind of holidayed out. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. I mean, with the big family stuff, Heather and I are still going to celebrate low key the ringing in of the new year.
Yeah.
But for the most part, where I hit a point. And this happens on vacations. It happens with holidays where I'm like, okay, I've done everything that I want to do. I want to go sit outside and have silence. So it's good. I love spending time with the family and friends, and I love cooking and but yeah, done. How about you? How was yours?
I was pretty much averaging 9 to 10,000 calories a day, I think.
That's just maintenance.
That's,
That's normal.
that's well, you're also 6'5", and I am not. So, we had different metabolic rates. So, yeah, they were good. I went down and saw my family in Boston, saw my dad, ate a bunch. There is a bakery right down the street from me that makes these incredible blueberry pies. And that's always kind of what I bring to the family gatherings, are these really thick Maine blueberry pies. But one thing that I did get, so my dad has pretty advanced dementia. So there's not a whole lot going on in there, but he's in there, right? So go down, and one of the things growing up that he loved was fudge. And I, in my eternal fat kid, also love fudge, but stay away from it. But I found a place locally I didn't know about, and I wandered in there, and she had a display case the size of my studio, really, of all the fudge that she makes there in-house. And I got a lot, and I ate a lot, and I'm not sad about it whatsoever. Do you have like a guilty pleasure, whether it's the blueberry pie or the fudge? Do you have something that like every year you're like, oh yeah, I'm going all in on this?
Food in general. There's a lot in it. It's shifted over the years. Like when I was a kid, um, I remember like my mom would make like M&M cookies. There was a peanut butter cookie. There was caramel. There's like
Mm,
all this shit all the time, and I loved it. And like so, and I have distinct memories of like Christmas break from school. Like it'd be like watching The Price is Right and be like, oh, fucking another M&M cookie, right on. Uh, and so like she still makes some of those, but not nearly to the same extent.
yeah.
My sweet tooth has changed dramatically. I prefer a more savory sort of thing. My wife, like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, put together, like she came up with this pistachio chocolate chip sort of cookie thing. So it's got this salty sweet thing going on.
Ooh,
And if you put that in front of me, I'm gonna
yeah.
wreck it.
Yeah.
It's fucking good. So she made up a bunch of that, but like, and she made up a bunch of the other sweets too. And like I'll nibble on them, but it's not the same. But then there's all the other stuff.
All this stuff.
You know, I've always been a foodie sort of
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
So if it's got big bold flavor,
You're all
we
about
we
it.
gonna have a talk.
Yeah. And I'm kind of the same way. I'm really not generally a sweets guy, but I don't know what it's been. The past couple of weeks, it's been nothing but like I can't get enough. And so, it's kind of like that crack. You put a little bit in your system, and then you're like, well, I'm just going to have a little bit more, and then just a little bit more, and then just a little bit more. And I used to make this, you're talking about what Heather was making. I make this stuff when I was married. We made this stuff called white trash, and it's basically just Chex Mix and M&Ms and cashews and whatnot, all covered in white chocolate and then
Yeah.
broken up, right? So you have this big bowl of it, and you're like, you give it away to friends and whatnot, and you have one handful, and you're like, oh, that's so good. And then the next thing you know, you're stabbing people as they get close to you because you've strapped this bucket on like a feed bag, and you're just drowning yourself in the white chocolate. There's going to be a thumbnail for you. So
So we actually a story with that this year. For years, there's been a similar concoction, Chex Mix, pretzels, blah blah blah, white
yeah,
chocolate
yeah, yeah,
coated
yeah.
thing. And my mother's always referred to it as reindeer bark, and then she stopped making it a few years ago because she found it to be a thing. So she sent the recipe to Heather,
Mhm.
and it was labeled as like Sue's white chocolate something. And so Heather was like, text mom was like, who's Sue? And so she gets the whole story. Sue is a woman my mom used to work with, blah, blah, blah. But mom just gets completely removed Sue's name from the thing. So now these treats are referred to as fuck you Sue's. So
I
so it
love
was
it.
like, yeah. So, and for the photography folks out there, I'm not talking about that Sue. Love
Right.
her.
Oh God,
No.
no.
So this woman my mom used to work with in the 90s. So
Oh my
different.
God,
But
that's
yeah,
funny.
so I'm glad that multiple families have those things, and I hope you now start referring to yours as fuck you Sue's.
I very well may. I think it would probably garner a lot of questions, but I'm not averse to it. I'm going to try it. I'm going to test it. I'm going to A/B test it with white trash and see how it goes. All right,
I think that works.
I got a something I want to say to you. So I started watching your short form video course, and I gotta say, I really like it
Thank you.
so far. So I'm on like module 3 or 4 at this point, and I've been watching it. The thing I like about it, one, is you start off saying, this is me. What you get is what you get. I'm the same person you meet in person, right? And you've always said that.
Yeah.
And that comes across. And I love how personable, down to earth this video is. You're not sitting up here teaching down. You are, I felt like I was collaborating with you, like we were actually having this conversation. And you don't fill it with fluff so far. I don't know. I haven't been to module 7 yet, but
Hope I don't.
I know. No, but really watching it, you keep it very simple. It's not overly produced. It is just right. It's the Goldilocks of kind of like course length, look, feel, approachability. I really am enjoying it, man. How's the response been to it so far?
Slow. A lot, a lot. But I also went into it knowing that selling courses in today's day and age,
Yeah.
it's challenging. During the COVID era, that was the gold rush of selling courses because people had nothing better to do. But at the same time, I'd had enough photographers approach me at conventions or call me and say, "Hey, you're doing this. How do I do it?" That I went, "Okay, there's something out there. Let's put it together. And if people buy it, righteous. And if they don't, and when they fall behind on short form, sucks to be them, you know." So,
And that's it. I think one of the things that's really smart about building that digital product targeted the way you did, right? You didn't broadly say anybody, well, it still applies to anybody, but you narrowly niche it down to photographers because
right.
I like the fact that, like you, I get all these questions about video. And I approach it the same way that I do with podcasting, which is there's a lot more that goes into it. I had always wanted to create the course that you just created, and now I don't have to. So you saved me a ton of work. And now I can point people directly to the thing that they've been asking for. And I know that over time, as you keep it updated and you add modules to it, this is just going to be a great digital product for you. I'm really happy for you, man. It looks beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And it was nerve-wracking to go, I'm gonna do, and it's,
Yeah.
you go, okay, I'm gonna put this thing out to the world. And it was scary and it's still ego gets in the way, and you go, oh, this and that. But it's done too. There's a certain relief in going, I had the idea has happened. Now whatever happens will be, I'll move on from there. So it's I hope it helps some folks. I know I still get in my head about short form video.
Mhm.
So hopefully it helps some folks and get some. It's not going away in
Right.
in the near future. So if it helps some folks get out there and get moving, awesome.
And I think you approach it in a way too where it is just that. It's like get over yourself. Just stop overthinking it. Stop, being afraid to get in front of the camera. If the content sucks, no one's going to watch it. If it's great, there's the possibility that a lot of people will watch it. So
Right.
just put it out there. You're going to stink at the beginning, but it gets better with time, right?
Yeah.
Because you get used to it. And I like that approach to it. You're not saying you have to follow this. It's more you talk about in the beginning the metaphysical, the psychological, right? The psychological approach, the demographics and psychographics, and you really break things down at a digestible level for people that were not raised on short form content, meaning
Right.
those of us with all the grays and the beards, right? So I want to see where this goes for you. I have a lot of questions for you in about 6 months
Bring
of,
them. I'm here for it.
you know what I mean?
We
Like,
can do a whole episode. We can go live and fire questions at me. Let's do it. But it's, like I think people get in their heads and going, what if people judge and what if they do whatever? People are gonna judge.
Right.
I mean, it's fucking social media. It's gonna happen. But then like you look at somebody like Elise Myers, who she's just this awkward actress woman. And what got her over was she told a story about going on a date, like for like an online date where the dude got her to go buy like 100 tacos, take back to that. It's like this whole crazy story about Taco Bell fucking tacos on this date. And it took her to levels that are insane. And so she's now a New York Times bestseller because of it. It's like, but all because of one story on a short form video and her just being her. And I think that's really beautiful. And I think where media is going, all of us have the opportunity to be able to connect to our audience in that way. People are getting tired. You've done this. I know you've done this. You've gone to Netflix being like, I want a thing to watch, and you bring it up, and then you just fucking scroll and you never find a thing, and then you just go, fucking, I'm turning it off.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think people are getting sick of that. And I think that's why things like TikTok and Reels and Shorts and because now people can get those instant dopamine hits
Mm-hmm.
from doing it. So like we are at a point right now, it's like if you're not riding that train, you're gonna miss out. Like there is a gold mine to be had. COVID was the first streak of gold in that claim.
Yeah.
We haven't hit it yet. It's gonna go bigger. So
And I think we may have talked about this last time. I can't recall, but I think what I love is that you're kind of at the same position that I am, which is we can read the tea leaves, we can look down the road a little bit and see that now is the time to be pivoting. If you haven't done video, if you've been like me and just kind of eschewing the fact that I'm not dancing, I'm not doing lip syncs, I'm not doing any of that stuff, you don't have to, right? That was as the hockey stick of adoption went straight up. That's what everybody saw. And it was fun, right? It was COVID. We're watching cat videos. We're watching people dance. We're watching, all that stuff. Now it's just become the way that we consume content, right? So what I don't want to see people do, especially photographers, especially those of us that are kind of past peak hiring age, right? We've kind of dedicated ourselves to this way of life. And, I'm not getting a corporate job anytime soon. So
no.
the thing that we have to consider is that, like you said, this isn't going anywhere. We've got to be able to create the video. And if not now, when? Are you going to
Right.
wait another year to start doing this when 100 other people will start today and be
Right.
beating you to that point, right? I don't think that short form video is going anywhere, but I do think long form video, meaning anything 10 minutes and above, is going to really come to the forefront as people watch YouTube, as people watch the content from their streamers being produced like television shows, and they can tune in at regular intervals, right? And
Right.
really do that. I know I used to watch Netflix trailers. That was the movie for me. It was just watching every single trailer for about 2 hours. And then I get tired of it and say, I've seen the entire Netflix. I'm going to bed.
Right.
Now I can go on YouTube and find my favorite creators and their shows and just kind of get caught up. And with YouTube Premium, if you don't have YouTube Premium, get it because you don't get commercials. That has been a lifesaver. I find myself consuming way more content on my television than I do on my laptop. So, all that being said, as we talk about short form video, what are some of your wins and fails in short form? Let's start with the wins because those are always better. But did you have any video that you produced this year where you were like, I didn't expect that to be as good as it was, or that you were the most proud of? Was there a win in there for you?
One that I didn't expect to take off was one directed towards Kentucky. Kentucky?
Kentucky. Yeah.
Let me try that again.
Yep. Cheers.
Thank you. Towards Kentucky Governor Andy Bashir. Andy Bashir, love Andy. He's done such great things for this state. He's a good dude. If he runs for president, he's got my vote. Um, but Andy's if somebody else is filming Andy for TikTok, for Reels or whatever, the video looks great. Andy often does a video a day where he's just talking directly to the camera and he holds his camera about this close to his face. And so you get like all the distortion and like his nose looks like it's this big. So I just did a video. It's like, this video is for Andy Bashir. If you're not Andy Bashir, you can keep scrolling. And it was just being like, dude, get your phone fucking away from your face.
Uh,
And that one did really well. And a lot of people were running to the comments and tagging him. I'm like, I already tagged him. He's not going to see this. It's fine. But it was a fun video and it got some traction. Um, as for losses with short form video, and this is more, getting in my own head about it. I
yeah.
I do the same thing that I say not to fucking do. Like, oh well, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Meh. So, and it's what I've been trying to do recently, even is put more personal into my stuff. It's like Ben the photographer is here. That's great. That's fine. That's dandy. And that's still gonna be there. Yeah. But now you're gonna get me walking my dog. You're gonna get me lifting weights. You're gonna get this. You're gonna get that. Because I am a multifaceted human.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest fail would be being in my head about it and being too much of a chicken shit to do that earlier. So now we're making course correction.
It's interesting that you say that, you get in your own head about it, even after you've produced so much content. And I think, you know, people think that once you reach a certain level, you get a certain number of followers or a certain number of views or whatever it is, that all of that goes away. And it
Not at all.
and it doesn't, right?
No,
And it always surprises me. It shouldn't at this point, but it always surprises me when I see high caliber people tell me that, right? When I hear you say, I still get in my own head about it. Really? Because from the outside perspective, right? We're never in anybody else's head, but from the outside perspective, looks like you got it all together. And I think, that's one of the things, I don't know if you fake it till you make it, if you just have to push through the anxiety and the resistance, but it does get easier. It doesn't make the
it's easier.
internal process easier, but the external process you can make really easy and repeatable. So, where is it in your mind that you go when you're feeling like you're not producing the content that you want, or like oh God, this is going to fail. This is going to fail. I know this is going to fail. Why at this point are you still doing that? Do you have a reason?
Ego. It's
Ego?
it's all
Yeah.
it's ego, and you know, it, I think all of us, especially creatives,
Yeah.
I think to be any creative who's putting your work out there in any way, shape, or form, you have to have a certain level of ego to do it, good, bad, or indifferent.
Mhm.
It's just, I think it's a part of the thing. To be able to go, I made this, look at it. There's some ego involved. But with that also, at least for me, I can't speak for anybody else. I think there's some vulnerability and there's some you're opening yourself up, going, oh, that could hurt a little bit. Oh, so it's just ego. And I hate the term fake it till you make it. I've always hated it. When I was first starting the business, people would say it to me a lot. And I'm like, no, I'm not faking shit.
Right.
I will do the best that I can do today. And hopefully tomorrow I do a little bit better, but I'm not going to fake shit. And I think that's the same thing with being very public about things and going, here's my studio, here's my art, here's how I do it, here's how I would. There's a vulnerability in that.
Yeah.
And then when you put it out there and you see creators that you look up to who you go, I'm doing the same caliber of blah blah blah, who have done XYZ and your content hasn't, then you go, oh well, I just must suck. And that's not what it is at all. But your id tells you that it is, and you just have to go, well then fuck you, id. I'm gonna put the work out anyway because I know if I post a video on TikTok right now, at least 50 people that are going to interact with it because they interact with everything. So I have made a connection with those people, and that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
So it's getting past the id. Shut up, id. You're worthless.
Stupid id. So it's really interesting you mention all of that with the ego and how it gets in the way. I was setting up the studio this morning for a shoot that I was doing, and a really, really good friend of mine that I haven't seen in, God, almost 2 years, just because of distance and schedules and whatnot, randomly dropped by the studio. He was on his way up north and he stopped in. And this is someone that I've had a lot of really deep conversations with. He dealt with issues of PTSD. I dealt with all my depression. We kind of met in the middle and just evolved as emotional beings together. And it's been really cool to see that evolution over time. So he stopped in today and we got into what we always talk about, which is this kind of stuff. How are we feeling? How are we interacting with people around us? And I loved one thing that he said. We were talking about intention, and we were talking about how we interact with the people around us and how we can make the best positive impact rather than doing something that causes more division or harm. And so he had said he comes from a place that he has to align with either honesty. No, it was he needs to align with love, joy, trust, and curiosity. Those are the four things that drive him. And if the decisions that he's making, the choices that he's making don't align with, is this for trust, joy, curiosity, whatever it is, then I'm not doing it, or I'm looking at it as not all that important. Do you have a North Star like that when you're thinking about, how you manage day to day and you're battling the ego and you're trying to stay grounded, but you're also trying to grow and, be a good partner and be a good mentor? Do you have a North Star like that, a word or a phrase or a group of words that you look to as kind of your touchstone?
That is a great question. And I don't know that I could assign a ton of a bunch of words to it, but how I globally kind of I don't even think about it. I just try to live it and
Mhm.
going, am I leaving it better today than it was yesterday? Even if it's tiny. And when I'm out walking the dog, we walk past people and I make it a point to make eye contact and smile and say good morning or good afternoon or
Mhm.
whatever. Because it's just a human thing to do, but then it's also going, that might be the brightest spot of their day. So if just for a second, if they felt slightly better, then I left them better than I found them.
Mhm.
And that's kind of yeah. And I think it's a very Boy Scout answer. But I think that's what it is. It's just like, fuck, man, there's enough division in the world, and enough of people just, going at each other's throats. Like, we don't need that.
Right.
So if I can, and it's not even just the people. It's like I came home today, my chickens ran to greet me for some reason, and it's like, oh fuck, okay, let me make your all's days a little bit better. And I went and got them raisins, and it's like, okay, it's cold out here, having a good day. So it's just leaving all of it just a little bit better if I can.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you should have asked me that question off air, so I could have come up with a really
Yeah, no,
smart answer.
I like the fact that's great, and it's real and it's true. And I want to surprise you with some of these questions just because the real answer is better than any rehearsed answer, right? And I was trying not to think about these topics and these questions today because I wanted this to be natural. And the more I thought about it, in the conversation that I had with Rudy was I have had this really interesting year where I was setting boundaries, cutting people off, hiding, isolating, right? I was up and down. And one of the things that I kept coming back to was, and I think it might even be like a Ram Dass thing, was just like, be here now, just stay present, right? And I started doing that. And I do a lot of meditation. So it wasn't hard to get there, but it was really coming up in a lot of places. And I found that I had to say that because I was falling into victim mentality. And why do I not get this and they do? Or why do they get the opportunity and I don't? And all those sorts of just gross victim mindset sort of things, all made
Guilty.
up in my own head, right? And I kept having to bring myself back to present and saying, all right, what's going on right now? How can I, like you, make this situation better, even if it's incremental in nature, just a little bit better than I found it? Or if I know my intentions in that interaction are good, then I can sleep at night. Because there's a lot of interactions I'm like, I could have handled that way better. And I didn't, believe me. But if I can look at it and say, all right, I'm present, I'm doing the best I can, I'm here, I'm engaging with the person, and I'm truly being present with them, that's the best that I can do.
Right.
Everything else is another type of choice or decision to make, but I'm going to choose to keep coming back to that center because it's the only thing that really makes me feel good. I don't feel like I have to perform. I don't feel like I have to hide. I can just be me and get accepted for that or not get accepted for it. But it feels good in the moment. The more I did that, the more confidence I gained back. Still not back 100%, but I realized that all the heavens and hells, all the gods and devils live within me, and I can choose to interact with any of them. So, yeah, it was curious. It was a great conversation. It's one of those things like the universe threw the right thing at the right time and kind of closed out my year on a really good note where it just recharged me and made me think like we're here to be better. We're not here to divide. We're not here to fight. We I think if we just eased up off the gas a little bit, probably would find we all have a lot more in common than we do apart. But,
Yeah.
you know,
What and you could get me on a social
uh-huh.
media tirade on the other side of being like, oh, let's create videos. And, like I also find social media to be very toxic for that very reason. And but I won't go down that rabbit hole at the moment. But I agree.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna check the chat, see who's over there. Enid, I don't know if you know Enid Arvello. She's great photographer here in Maine, and oh, great to see you both in the same platform. I'll have to go back to YouTube channel to see it all. Yeah, you will. I think you should. Um, she's a great headshot photographer. Another part of Peter Hurley's headshot crew.
Oh,
So
nice.
part of that whole crew. And yeah, just a kind, wonderful photographer. I'm so glad she stopped by. Thank you, Enid, for saying hello. Um, so, all right, I want to move on since we were talking a little bit about the short form going into long form. I want to talk a little bit about the return of long form video. Very brief, just to kind of cap off what we were talking about. Are you going to be making long form content at all? Do you have any desire to do it beyond the reels, let's say 3 minutes? Are you looking to do anything beyond that?
It's actually already begun. So I occasionally, and I'm trying to be more systematic about this, make longer form videos that are client facing.
Mhm,
So like if it's a blog on the website, I can make a long form video about it, and then I can post that on the blog and whatever.
mhm.
What I started doing 3, 4 weeks ago now is I've started a weekly vlog, and vlogging may be completely dead. I don't know. We're gonna
Oh,
find out. But I've been making it a point to be like, okay, so we're gonna document life through the week, give people Ben the photographer is still there, but Ben is more than a photographer. So let's look at the other stuff. So yeah, we're doing it, and I don't know what I'm doing with vlogging yet. I'm not trying to be Mr. Beast. I'm not trying to be Logan Paul. I'm
Right.
not interested. Um, but a little peek behind the curtain of this is life. So one just went live yesterday, which was just prepping for Christmas, and I've already started filming clips for kind of a year-end review
Mhm.
that I'm working on now. Uh, I don't know. I feel like going if I need to. I don't need to. I want to. I want to reach more people, and I feel like going. Here's more of me. I cook. I lift weights. I
Mhm.
train dogs. I do whatever. Feel like people might find some interest in it, and if not, then it exists when I don't. So, let's put it out there.
And I mean, we talk about that all the time, right? We talk about legacy in photography, right? We talk
Yeah,
about these things being out there. And with a great portrait, you get a sense of the person, or at least a sense of the person that they want you to know, right? Whatever that is, mask or not. But it still is the viewer's interpretation of that person. I think
right.
with video, you really start to get the truth of who that person wants you to see in all different ways. And I love that fact that you just said, it's going to exist when I don't, provided the internet's still around after the apocalypse in the Bone Temple. I think having those moments where you can vlog your week's process, different parts of your life, whatever it is, personal or business, whether you publish it or not, you're capturing, documenting those moments for yourself or for Heather or for your mom or like all these people that are invested in your life now can get access to you when they need to if you don't happen to be around. So I love thinking about it that way. If not for you, for the people around you, right? So I like that. I like that a lot. I know for me, I kind of have always done long form video, and I started doing DJ sets online in like 99. We'd be on air for 4, 5, 6 hours at a time. And we do an hour set of music, and then we do a half an hour mic break, and then we do another hour of music and a half an hour mic break and take phone calls and all that sort of stuff. And I've always done long form. It's very difficult for me to do short form. Very difficult for me to do short form because when I'm getting a weird text. Okay. When I try to do short form, like let's say I take one of my live episodes and I throw it into Opus Clips and I try to cut it up and I look at it, I go, this is dog shit. And I can't believe I said any of that. And I look at it and I don't come down hard on myself. What I do is I try to learn from it and I say, all right, what was it that you don't like? Well, Matt, most of the time you never make a point and your ADHD takes off and you just bounce through half sentences for about 10 minutes and you never get to the point. So maybe work on that. And that's what it's really teaching me as I go from long form, where we can have, this long winded conversation rambling from here to there. Short form is a totally different beast. And I'm coming back to your course, totally different beast. You have to have quick emotional connection. You have to make a point very quickly. You have to move fast. You have to hook, right? All of those elements are unique to short form. Sure, there's hooks that you need for long form, but I like sitting back and relaxing and really getting, kind of under the covers with what I'm watching rather than just, all right, that was good, scroll. That was good, scroll. I
All right, so
like having my
I'm gonna
attention kept, you know?
I'm gonna be a nerd. Um, by chance, are you a professional wrestling fan,
Not
or have you
anymore.
ever
No,
been?
after the Von Erichs got out, man, I was done. So,
Oh,
so
Texas wrestling. All right, okay, all right. I'm a big pro wrestling fan. Have been since I was a little dork. One way that I think about it is like, Monday Night Raw has been on the air for
forever.
30, yeah, forever. So most of the matches on Monday Night Raw, the performers in the ring with ring entrances to finish of the match, they get 7 minutes if they're lucky, which is nothing to get to the ring, do your posing, do your stuff, do whatever. And they've got to tell that story of that match. But that story is all leading to a bigger payoff down the road. So you get to your WrestleManias where you go, you've got 30 minutes that you now have to fill. So they work in tandem,
Hmm.
you know,
Sure.
or you think about it, with end of season TV shows. Like, so throughout the year, you've got 30 minutes, which after
Right.
commercials, you've got 17 minutes to tell the story on Alf. Uh, so dated myself
Yeah.
till we get to the season finale where now you've got to fill an hour.
Right.
So it's kind of that same thing. It's like figuring out how to tell a story fast so that later you get to expand it and get to hit you get to hit them.
Yeah.
Stranger Things has actually been a master of it. I mean, we're about to, is it tomorrow? Yeah, I think tomorrow we get the final 2.5 hours because they've been dropping little bits of it. So they've been keeping us intrigued with short so that then we can hit them with long
It,
and capitalize on all the cash from it. So
and it's like comedians too, right? Where
yeah,
they work out a couple of minutes here and a couple of minutes there. And then after a year or two of working on that in little dark comedy clubs, they've got a Netflix special, right? And it all
right.
kind of comes together. And so I like that analogy that you were talking about with wrestling, with the 7 minutes to 30 minutes and having to fill that. I really like that because if you can master the short form, long form is easy. It really is. It's probably why I do more long form because it's just easier. But I like doing long form. I'm never short of words. So it's difficult for me to contain that. But I'm working on it. I'm trying. I think I've got this part nailed. It's the short form that I really want to get to. I think,
Uh,
go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
another joy of the short form, like if you're going, okay, I'm trying to hit 60 seconds because 60 seconds is
Right.
monetization limits on a lot of things. You're not going to be able to get in all the details. So some schmuck is going to come in your comments and be like, "Yeah, but Birdie
Yep.
Blair."
Yep.
And so then you get to make that second piece of content by responding to and you don't have to be a jerk about it. You can be like, "Yeah, no, you're right. I'm just trying to hit a time limit because I know you're not going to watch 5 minutes of this." So, but yeah, here we go into this next bit. So you can actually play off of that, and like a lot of people do that sort of stuff in their short form. Like they will deliberately mispronounce words. There's a guy that I see a lot who he does like websites you need to know, and when he flips over to his screen, in one of the tabs there will be some completely bizarre tab also open because he knows people are going to comment on it, and so it furthers his progression. So it, you can actually use, I couldn't give you all the information to your advantage to then make the next piece.
And this is the most infuriating part of TikTok to me is here's part one. You'll never guess what happened. And then it cuts off and there's no part two. And
Yes.
I want to find the data center and I want to tear it apart with my hands because that is the most infuriating thing. But no, I get the point that you're making. I think with short form being so ubiquitous these days. It's almost as if you have, and we're going to talk about platforms in a second, but you got platforms for short form, you got YouTube for long form, even though they've got their shorts, but I don't know if I've ever watched a YouTube short. There's TikTok for that. So I like the balance. I know for me in 2026, I am trying to really fine tune the short form aspects of it. And it's going to be basically being like, all right, 5 minutes for me. And then I'll see if I can go from 5 minutes to 3 minutes, 3 minutes to 1 minute. When it's not a stupid little promo, but if you do only have 60 seconds, there's a lot that you can do, right? You can
Yeah.
push people to download a thing or join an email list or this, that, or the other and get that engagement. There's one guy that mispronounces city names that I've seen a bunch of times. He's like, if I went to Miami, and I was like, and it hits that thing in you where you're like, I know he's doing it just to hook me and infuriate me. So I go to the comments and say something. It never works, but I see it and I'm like, oh, that's smart. You just work that little something in that disrupts someone's pattern enough that they watch for another 2 or 3 seconds because that's where the money is. Speaking of money, I'm going to side tangent disastrously, I'm sure. But very, very quickly, I am not someone that follows these streamers, right? I'm not a 13-year-old that follows these streamers that are making a ton, like Jack Doherty and these guys that are just kind of like, they go out and they're assholes or they're annoying or they prank or whatever, and it's just for likes. So there's a guy out there named Neon. I don't know him. I don't know his stuff. I just know that I see him all over the place on YouTube. And he's a huge streamer, makes a ton of money, but he's also a moron, right? The thing that I saw is that he's got something called clippers. Now, I knew nothing about this. So I am definitely boomer right now, where what he does is he's got a Discord server and he's got, his fans or followers or whatever in there. And if they take his stuff and clip it and then repost it somewhere else, for every million views, every 100,000 views, he pays you $20. So if you post it on your channel and it happens to get 100,000 views, right? Then you get $20. A million views, you're getting $200, right? So I was watching I saw a thing today where I think it was last month, he paid $750,000 to his clippers.
And how much did he make?
Exactly. And people are like trying to make that calculation. It's just like, holy shit. If all of that goes towards views, which then drive it towards his stuff, and he gets the views and he gets the monetization, right? It's this unbelievable machine. And so I saw that and I was just like, one, is that legal? Like, can you do that? I'm sure it is. But I looked at it and I said, well, these are some of the strategies that these guys are using, right? And that no one really knows about it until you kind of hit that certain level, or you've really invested yourself into doing short form content so much that you're looking for that edge. But if you've got a Discord server and you've got these clippers out there and you're paying them, you've got an army of social media managers that are just pushing your content and flooding the internet with it so that more and more
Look at
views.
what the Pauls brothers are doing.
Exactly.
I mean, Jake just got his jaw broken twice.
Thank God.
And now I won't get into it, but like they're brilliant social media because how many streams did they get that just paid them?
Yep.
And I never want to go that route, but it's like, no, it's big money because it's getting big eyeballs.
It just fascinated me that, you know, I call them kids, but they're a lot smarter than I think we're giving them credit for. And, part of me at 52 is just like, I've been working my ass off for the last at least 37 years. And I don't think I've ever seen cumulatively $750,000. So like to be able to pay that, he said one guy in a month made $89,000 doing that. Just sitting in his basement, typing these things and pushing them out. He made $89,000. And I'm like, that is a lot of people's yearly salary. And he's doing it with an AI driven channel that just clips this stuff and sends it out and gets views. And it
I
boggles my
was
mind.
gonna clean my studio tomorrow,
Mhm.
but I think my day just changed.
Right. So I'm telling you, man, like there are moments where I look at that and I go, I could do that. I could do that. I got nothing going on. I can do that. And then I'm like, nope, don't do it. Just
Right.
just do not do it at all. All right. So that's the short form, long form content thing. And there's two topics here I wanted to bring up. There's the platform that gives you the most fatigue, or the death of organic reach. Which would you like to discuss?
Shit, they may be the same thing.
Yeah, they're pretty much the same thing, I think. So let's just take this one: the platform fatigue. Right? Where are you at with platforms these days? What do you like? What don't
Uh,
you like?
Currently, TikTok is giving me the most fatigue
Mm,
because its algorithm is all over the place right now, and you can look at a million different things for that. Um, but that said, and as I say in the course, I don't consider myself a creator. I'm a photographer that happens to create content.
mm,
So the content that I create goes to everywhere. Um, Instagram has been far more forgiving on Reels right now, and I really think that the meta platforms are working harder on um, trying to push video where TikTok is doing some weird stuff. Um, so yeah, that TikTok is the hard one right now, surprisingly, because it used to be the really, really, really easy one. Like when I started on TikTok in 2021, 2022,
mm.
and like anything that you would post, you were going to get at least 5,000 views, and easy, no problem. Um, and if you look at your follower count versus the views and the engagement that you get now, and it's not just me, I checked this out on, there's a big account that I checked, they 3 million followers, whatever. So I went and I looked at their views from there. So at 3 million followers, they were getting 10K views. So that proportion
It doesn't work.
is effed right up. So TikTok is the hard one right now. I know there's a lot of stuff going on with the sale and Oracle, and
Right.
there's stuff. Um,
There's stuff.
there's stuff where I'm starting to lean hot, and I'm shifting some stuff to it is YouTube. Um, I think YouTube's about to get a lot of reach.
Yep.
And the other real benefit is may seem capitalistic and whatever. I want to reach clients and I want to reach people who are interested in my stuff. That's a big part of what I do. I would always rather get the clients and get people to book me. If you can get monetized on YouTube, the payout on YouTube is huge.
Yep.
Like so it's like if I can get monetized there while reaching clients, then I'm pulling from two streams.
Hmm.
So I am bullish on YouTube at the moment, and which is part of the reason I started going, great, we're going to start doing the vlogs. Let's start reaching more people.
Yeah. And I'm, as you know, exactly the same. I am very bullish on YouTube. It's really where I want to be. I kind of kick myself for not having done it earlier, like not really
Same.
leaning into. I've had channels for years now and I put zero effort into them. I would just kind of throw up an episode of Generator, or I'd throw up a random little thing that I made. Zero consistency, no plan. It was meant to just be kind of like passive attention.
Same.
And now I'm taking it much more seriously, treating it like a business, treating it like something that I can cultivate and grow. And while monetization numbers are great, hitting so many watch hours, having so many followers, right? And being able to monetize in that way. What I'm really focusing on, and I'm hoping for, but this is the intention, is brand deals. And I'm not talking about necessarily just getting sponsored and influenced this way. I'm talking about making content good enough that it garners the attention of smaller brands that are then going to hire me to make content for them or their product. And I think that these are the types of methods that people aren't thinking about, right? They want to go on YouTube and suddenly be monetized and think that AdSense or, Google Ads is going to be the thing that pays them. And it's not. I'm talking to more and more creators that may get millions of views, but the payouts are relatively minimal. But the attention that they get from the views pays off in dividends because they're then hooked up with certain brands and they develop these
Right.
relationships. So I'm all in on YouTube for nothing else if not that. I really do want to have the conversations like we have that are a little bit more open, that are a little bit more frank and honest. But I also, want to keep a roof over my head. And what are the ways that I can use my experience, use what I'm learning here to help other brands? I think one of the things that's most fun for me now in doing all of this and not thinking about money at all is the fact that I can teach so many people about all this cool stuff. And I'm not worried about competition because no one can be me, no one can be you. But if I can find a cool tool or, piece of software like Ecamm and teach more people about it so that we as photographers slash creators can start making things that look better and sound better and have more depth and more quality, then why would I gatekeep any of that? It only serves to lift the rest of the industry up. At least that's what I've convinced myself of. So, you know, I think the more that we can be making long form content or short form content or content of any sort, if you feel it in your soul, just do it. Put it out there. Everyone's good at something. Even if it's I suck at everything, but I'm the best at sucking at everything, then put that out there. The world
Right.
needs to hear it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's hell, I should probably do a whole long form piece about this. It's like, I started a photography business without knowing how to be a photographer.
Me too.
And if it weren't for a lot of long form content via YouTube, via Creative Live, via whatever, I wouldn't have learned what I learned or built the confidence
Correct.
to be like, I'm gonna push the fuck through it. So no, I do think with long form, people will consume it while they're doing other things. Like I consumed so much Creative Live while I was editing photos. Like so
Me too.
it's
Mhm.
coming in this year while I'm doing this stuff, so I'm multitasking, and that's huge. And I think people trying to learn how to cook, people trying to figure out how to do whatever, it's like if you can consume it without it feeling like a burden, because like I was a shitty student. I'm a two-time college dropout. I didn't give a shit about high school, whatever. I'm not a good student. I learn by doing, but if I'm doing a thing and then I'm listening to a thing about that thing at the same time, it all starts to stick.
Mm.
So no, I think long form is very, and I think long form is also valuable in I need to be taken out of my humdrum day-to-day life. When I was a sound designer, and I said this a lot, that is like my job is to take people out of their humdrum bullshit lives for 2 hours a night.
Mhm.
It's my job. I don't care if they know that Ben Marcum wrote this piece of music or did this design or whatever. It's completely irrelevant. What's important is that they had a shitty day doing spreadsheets at their job, and here for 2 hours they're watching a vampire kill this chick. and I put some emotion around it. That's it. So if the long form content does that, that has value.
Mhm.
Just letting people step back and go, okay, cool.
Yeah. It's funny. And we'll move on here in a second. This is kind of be the last thing I'll say on this is it's been really interesting since COVID to see how people interact with content, the type of stuff that they create, right? In times of war, there tend to be a lot more protest songs, anti-war songs written, right? In tough times, that's what people talk about. And I think we've gotten to a point where folks are still lost as to what it is they need to talk about. I think we're so jaded coming out of COVID, even 5 years later. Maybe there was a photon at CERN that launched us into an alternate reality, and that's why we're here. But there's so many people that are still trying to figure out just where they fit in. And the easy route is to talk about I'm a guru at this, therefore you should learn from me because I want to get a bag. There's the woe is me. There is the I believe A, you believe B, therefore you're wrong. And we've been driven into these types of content, and we feel like that's the only thing that will work. But if you look at what's being talked about over the past, I don't know, probably 6 months, you're seeing younger kids get off of platforms. You're seeing them get rid of phones, going outside and touching grass. So I think there's going to be this continued rebellion as more AI slop is created and it just floods everything that we do, that there will be a real push and a need for all sorts of random content that just takes us out of the matrix for a minute and
Yeah.
just allows us to just have fun. I watch a lot of like dog and cat videos on YouTube because
You're about to get to watch a dog video now. Mine's about to throw a fit.
oh yeah. Well, it's just because, like the edible kicks in and I'm like, I just want to laugh. I just want to sit here and watch a dog run into a glass door. Like that makes me so happy. And so, I think we're just trying to figure it all out, but the platform fatigue, which is where we kind of started with all of this, is I don't think it's platform specific. I think it's the way that we approach content consumption. And that's where the fatigue sets in. It's like, I don't want to see another part one or a part two. Give me all 7 parts in one video. We're capable of doing that now. Right. And that's the fatigue that I get from all of those things. All right. Do you need a break to let your dog out?
No, no, no. He's actually climbing up into his chair. Let's see if I can get this over here.
Oh, there he goes.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's making himself big. So yeah, no, he was like, "What the hell are you doing? I got to come down and be with you now."
Karma's downstairs under a weighted, heated blanket, just loving life. And she hears my voice, and every now and again, she's like, he's still talking. I'll sleep here a little bit longer. All right, let's talk about something else. Let's get into a little bit more of the 2025, 2026 stuff. So, what are you saying no to looking forward in 2026? What are the things that you're saying no to, and what are the things that you're going to lean into?
I'm saying no to anything that won't bring me joy
Mm,
on some level. If it's stressful, if it's a burden, if it's you're supposed to do it because you're supposed to do it, no, I'm not interested.
yeah.
So I'm only doing things that in the long term, because in certain moment in the moment it may not always be happy, but in the long term, if it's not going to bring me joy, then I'm not interested.
Mhm.
Um, as an example, um, and we've talked about this. We talked about it on the podcast. I've been lifting, and my
Mhm.
diet's been, um, the guy that put together my lifting plan. I'm actually going to pay him to put together a diet
Mhm.
now as well. Uh, I am going to curse him every single day because it's going to
It's
suck.
gonna suck. Oh yeah.
It, but the long-term goal there will bring joy. So that's okay. But any person or any incident or any event that is like this is going to cause me stress, it gets cut out of life. I
Mhm.
don't need it. I'm, at 48 years old, life's too short, man.
Mhm.
If you're going to cause trouble in my life, I'll go hang out with my chickens instead.
They're a lot more agreeable, especially since you have the raisins, right?
Ex They do love the raisins.
They love the raisins. Um, yeah, no, I think I'm on board with all of that and feel the same way, right? It's been this gradual change this year of uh, putting better boundaries up, getting rid of the things that just feel oppressive, stressing me out. I think if I contemplate this question a little bit, if I were to say no to something in 26, which is what I'm trying to do, is saying no to all of my bad habits that keep me from being the person I want to be. Right.
Good.
And I look at that and I say, I get up in the morning and I got some kettlebells downstairs and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go work out. It's really cold. So why don't you just wait a little bit? Okay, I can wait a little bit. And then, well, you're really deep in the website redesign right now, so we don't have time for that. All these little excuses and the resistance and whatnot, those are the things that at the end of the day, when the day is over, I look at it, I go, oh, I didn't accomplish that thing, which makes me feel disappointed in myself. I don't take it easy on myself. I'm not that type. I say, you weren't perfect today, so you're a piece of shit. And, you know, it's not like that every day, but most days. So, what I'm trying to do, and I'm working hard on this, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, is being able to be aware of that trigger, what's happening there, and saying no to that. No, do something different. Because, my whole mantra is like, what you don't change, you choose, right? If you want something to change, you got to change it. If you don't, then you're choosing to stay exactly the same way. And as I reframe more and more things like that, and basically instead of saying it's really cold out, I've got another version of me over here going, you realize you're choosing to stay exactly the way that you are. And that little bit of like self competition is enough to push me to go do the thing, right? It's almost accountability to myself,
Right.
which I've never really had. And I'm not well disciplined and I give into resistance and all of that fear all the time. It's going to be hard to start working out. It's going to be hard not to dig my hand into the chocolate chips. It's going to be hard to do these things. But then I can't complain after I do that. I can't complain. I'm like, my love handles are hanging over my belt a little bit more. I don't get the right to do that. So I think that's going to be the thing for me. I'm not big on resolutions. I'm not big on, new year, new me. I'm just looking at saying, how can I improve myself so that I find more joy in those little moments? I want to go work out. I know after 3, 4 weeks of working out, you feel really good. And then it's your habit and you're just kind of back in the swing of things. But if you can't get into that swing to begin with, then and fight through that slog where it just sucks, but you do it anyway because on the other side of it, it's going to be reward. I'm trying to get back to that
So
approach to life.
I'm
Yeah.
going to add a little reframe there and because I've been very consistent about working out for the past year and a half.
Mhm.
Every workout fucking
Yeah, it
sucks.
does.
Every single one of them. It hurts and it's hard and I'm not going to be one of those people who goes, if you just give it. No, like I did deadlifts today that it felt like dog shit the entire time. However, then I walk past the mirror and I'm like, who's this motherfucker?
Hmm.
And so it's like, no, sometimes you just have to deal with the suck. It
Hmm.
just sucks. Admit that it sucks. Go with the suck and be like, it's not. I'm gonna go not tomorrow, but Thursday. I'm gonna go push heavy fucking weight, and it's gonna suck.
Hmm.
But the payoff is what I'm looking at. So it's like you've got to be able to look at the payoff. It's I don't like working out.
Hmm.
I don't like it.
Hmm.
It cuts into my day. It stresses me out.
Uh-huh.
But damn, I I I look better right at 48.
Hmm.
I look better than I have in my entire life. And I apologize to everyone when I hit 49. I'm gonna be a menace.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. So, but that's part of the thing. It's like, no, just be like, some shit sucks,
Yeah.
and sometimes you've got to do shit that sucks to get to the part that's good of it, you know? Um, yeah, yeah.
And that's it. It's
I don't love the fitness gurus being like, it gets better. No, it doesn't. This
no.
sucks. My knees hurt. This garbage.
It's why they say in the, it's in the military, it's already embrace the suck. Like, because it's not going anywhere, get used to it, get through it, everything will be fine.
Yeah.
So, it's all up here in the old cabeza, right? So, all right, that's great. I like the fact that you're focused in that way on your own well-being. I really, really like that. Um, so I surprised myself where I didn't make goals about finances, and that's awesome. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about AI tools, right? So AI has been the big thing this whole year. Everybody's got their favorite, but most people know ChatGPT. So if I say ChatGPT, I also mean Claude, I also mean Perplexity, I also mean all these other things. But the use of AI has become such a conversation, whether it is rabidly anti AI because of environmental impacts or rabidly pro AI because we're able to make advances in medicine and all of these areas so much faster than if we were just kind of sitting there with our Windows 95 and our pen and paper, right? We're able to do things exponentially faster than we ever have before. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I don't know how I feel about it all, but I'm also not rigidly taking a side where I'm kind of all in on it right now, but I limit what I do with AI. I try to be a responsible user of AI if there is such a thing. I don't lean on it. I don't make it my entire life. I don't have a job that demands it. It just makes shit easier for me. What are some of your favorite tools if you use AI tools, and I believe you do? What are some of your favorite tools that you've discovered, maybe a hidden gem? What do you like doing on a daily basis?
Evoto is my current favorite.
Is it?
Um, the it's the best retouching tool that I found for basic retouching.
Mm-hmm.
So, headshots are a big part of what I do. And a majority of the retouching that I do on headshots is getting rid of minor blemishes, stray hairs, and straightening out clothes. So Evoto makes that far faster. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And if you use it correctly, you don't overwork the dough. It would be very easily to make somebody look like a Barbie in there too, which we
Mm-hmm.
don't want to do. I've used ChatGPT a fair amount, or large language models in general, and at for a while I was finding it useful in some areas. I've actually found it getting far dumber, like far, far dumber, and it's like, okay, I don't trust it, and I've caught it in lies. I've caught it in some big fucking lies, and been like, show receipts, and it's um so I think it's good. I think ChatGPT has a place as a editor per se. So like, let's say if I'm gonna write an email, I'm gonna write the email and
Mm-hmm.
go, bah, 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 bah. Okay, take a look at this and make sure that it's coherent and that I don't have a bunch of typos and whatever. That's great. But to be like, generate this for me, it's the drizzling shits.
Mhm.
Even if I give it all the stuff, it's awful.
Mhm.
Um, that's pretty much the extent of what I'm doing. At one point, and this is where I started like really losing trust for large language models. I was doing a dinner party this past year. I was like, okay, here's all the recipes that I'm using. Build me a shopping list
Mhm.
off of this, which
Sure.
should be like the most simplest thing to do on the planet.
How'd
We
it do?
went through like 15 different iterations of it, do it because it kept missing things on the list. Like you forgot the brown sugar, you forgot the, and it'd be like, oh, you're right for calling me out on
Mhm.
that. So I use it far less
Yeah.
than I did when it first came. And I've actually called it out and been like, okay, say we're trying to write a blog about something and I need you to dive deep. And I've been like, do not go look at other photographers' websites because so many photographers now are using Chat GPT
Mhm.
to write a blog and it's hot garbage juice.
Mhm.
And so you're just going to give me the same hot garbage juice. It's so really the one that I found to be the best is a photo. So
Yeah.
I'm not sponsored. I could be.
Could be. Could be. We're working that, man. We're getting the content out there. So I I have a long list of AI tools that I use here and there, right? They're all scalpels for different things. I absolutely
Oh,
love Evoto.
Descript. I use Descript.
Yep. So there's a million things out there. I think Evoto has surprised me a great deal. When I saw it at, I think, WPPI last year, maybe the year before, I can't recall which one, but I saw Evoto for the first time and I was just like, "Oh, that looks interesting, but it looks a little bit, kind of fake generated. Like the sliders weren't great, the detail wasn't great." But I saw the appeal in it, especially for large volume and headshots. It has gotten so good. And I did my personal branding shoot today and wound up being 6 final photos. And I put them into Evoto earlier this evening and built out a profile for this woman and batch processed everything to the point where now I can go into Photoshop for 60 seconds, right? To do the couple of things that I do for my own work that I don't like using tools for, right? I want to put my spice in it. But to do the flyaways, to do some blemish removal, to do some clothes smoothing, right? Oh my God, it saves me tons of time. So I love Evoto. I think that's a good call out from the photo world standpoint. I think they're probably top tier in there. I use Claude most of all out of all the tools. But you mentioned that it's getting dumber. And I think I did a video not too long ago about AI getting dumber. And it happened to me today. I went in to basically just be like, hey, I'm going to have Ben on the show tonight. And, here's the transcript from our last conversation. I want to come up with some stuff, look through all my chats, come up with some good topics and, cover some of the same ground, but give me some new things to think about. Give me a list of 20 topics. And it spit out, it said, all right, here's your 2024 year in review and things to think about as you're going into 2025. And I was like, how do you not know what year it is? And oh, you're right. That was my mistake. Yeah, it was your mistake. And it has undermined my entire confidence in large language models because I find myself through the chats interacting and saying, why are you not listening to my instructions? I've been very clear, memory's clear, I've given you examples, I've explicitly prompted you to tell me exactly what I need, and you are ignoring those commands and doing your own thing. And I
Right.
could look at it and say, all right, did I write the prompt in a really vague way? Nope. I was explicit with what I wanted. And it doesn't follow directions. It doesn't give me what I want. And it really makes me wonder, why is it doing that? And I think we're at the point now, and I have zero evidence for this, but I'm going to make a conjecture because I put my tinfoil hat on. I think AI is now learning from AI, and
Yes.
all the shit that we've fed it, it's just becoming a circular toilet bowl where it's just getting worse
Yes.
because it's not doing any actual thinking. What it's doing is responding to trends in patterns in language. And so it spits out the probable best answer for whatever that series of words put together could possibly mean on a mathematical score. Here is
Right.
the best possible answer. And I think it's been fed so much garbage, hot garbage juice, as you say, that we're just taking the sponge and wringing it out into our mouth and saying, this tastes really, really good. So while I use Claude a lot, I've lost all my trust in it. And I used to have
Yes.
trust in AI.
Same.
Now it is like you said, all right, here's my email. Can I can I arrange it better? Can you clear up the thought process so that it flows better? That sort of thing. Because I tend to be all over the place. So I like using it like that. But I'm noticing the same trend in Opus clips. I'm noticing it in the way that it makes the short form content. I'm like, that that's a horrible clip that you how is that a 99% virality score clip? It doesn't it doesn't make any sense. It cuts off, it's not the right length. Like I expect more out of some of the tools now because we've all gotten
Yes.
used to it. We're past the, oh, this is cool phase. Now we're into, all right, are you going to work or not? But what we're seeing is the proliferation of tools from vibe coders that are putting out applications that are all based on being a layer on top of ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. And that's the underlying engine. So if it's being fed garbage, what is it that we're expecting to get out of it? And the thing that I love about it, the thing I love about that happening is that it's forcing the conversation for us to be less reliant on it. It's forcing the
Yes.
conversation to be like, you know what? Yeah, this is all stupid. So when I see someone like Michael Berry betting against AI and putting his hedge funds and saying, I'm going to short the entire industry because in 2 years, this will all blow up. That guy pretty much nailed it in the housing
Yeah.
market. And as I watch what some of the bigger power players are doing, I'm like, I don't think this is all going to end the way that we think it's going to end at the consumer level, the tools
Correct.
that we use. I think there is a place in healthcare, protein folding, all this sort of stuff where AI is necessary. But at the quantum computing level, I think what we're doing in trying to write a better birthday card is just dumb. And we by proxy are getting dumber. We're forgetting how
Yes.
to think for ourselves.
No,
And
I
that's
think
why I
there's a
limit my
place
use of
in
it.
it for us that is, here's the dinners I'm gonna cook this week.
Mhm.
Put together my shopping list, or maybe even there's a future of, here's what I'm gonna cook for the week. Put that order in at Kroger and have them delivered. Maybe that's there. I don't trust Kroger to pick my fresh veg. They do it terribly. Anyway, um, but on a day-to-day basis, or on a writing, on a creative, on a psychological basis, no, I think it's garbage.
Mhm.
And I think it's just what you said. You know, if you were into computer programming at any point, and my mom was a computer nerd, so
Mhm.
from the early 80s on, I was programming shit.
Me too.
There's the whole thing. It's the saying is garbage in, garbage out. So if we're just feeding it garbage, and by garbage I mean it reading Reddit, reading, everybody's garbage websites and whatever, it's just gonna feed us back garbage, and that's what it's doing. I don't. it was fun for a minute.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah. I
It,
find myself subscribing and unsubscribing, doing trials of this, trials of that, testing this, testing that. And I'm finding that I'm more and more disappointed. And one of the tools that I use for podcasting is a platform called Captivate.fm. And it's what is the major distribution platform for my podcast. So I upload it and it sends it out to Spotify and Apple and iHeartRadio and all that sort of stuff. I love the platform. I can't say enough good things about how easy they make it to publish a podcast. They introduced AI into it last year. Maybe it was earlier this year, but time is irrelevant. So they introduced AI into it to create show notes based on the audio and the transcript. It creates show notes for you. And you have some minor settings that you can change, tone of voice, amount of humor or wit or professionalism or whatever. But it is so god awful at producing the same sound. No matter what you put into it, it creates the same junk. It creates the same awful wrapper that doesn't sound like you. It doesn't feel like you. It is just slop. So I was using it and then I realized, wow, it's getting everything wrong and it sounds terrible. So I started using Claude and I developed this prompt that's, like Bible length and telling it explicitly how to create YouTube descriptions and show notes and whatnot. And it does pretty good. And then it starts to forget, like it gets distracted by a squirrel and it's producing worse and worse content. So now it's at the point where, well, I've seen it do enough. I can write my own show notes. I can do my own things. And I'm
well,
just
and I was actually thinking
reverting
about that
back.
earlier today. It was like if I have to spend that much time writing a prompt, then why don't I just fucking write the description?
I
It
get it.
because I knowing that like if I spend that, you might spit out one, but then three and four, I'm gonna have to start from scratch. Then you're worthless.
Right. The one of the biggest this went from being AI tools we use to AI tools we effing hate. So I think one of the major things that gets me and disrupts my workflow in the entire AI world is that I have not found a language model, and perhaps again, the problem exists between the keyboard and the chair, that it doesn't know how to export anything. It says, hey, I'm going to export this into a Google Doc for you. That'd be awesome. Do that. Just kidding. I can't access your Google account. All right, then why don't you, export it into a PDF? Just kidding. Here's a PDF of just the title and none of the other stuff. All right. How about some markdown language so I can import it into Notion? I don't think so. I'm going to screw that up for you. Basic things, right? It
Yeah.
gives you all of this information. You can't export it. You write all these chats. You can't organize them. Or the organization is so elementary that you're like, how is this not a thing that is built in to the most powerful apps in the world?
But it's not only can it not export, it does a bad job at importing. So if you're like, okay, so I'm going to, I've created this file from Google Analytics.
Yeah.
I need you to analyze this and tell me where my website is failing so I can change some shit. And it goes, well, I can't read that CSV file.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, but, okay, well, here it is in Excel. It can't read shit well either.
Nope.
I actually had a fun slash annoying time last year at the Kentucky Derby where I was uploading the racing form to
Uh,
it to be like, let analyze the race, put together winning tickets for me. It had a really hard time reading PDFs.
yeah.
It was like, wait, what? And I outperformed ChatGPT on winning the races. which isn't saying much because I did really bad.
Way to go, you degenerate. You know, I think I think we're on the same wavelength here in terms of there's we went from, all right, this is serviceable. This actually works for my business, to now it becoming such an untrustworthy
Yeah.
drunk uncle, right?
Yeah,
That,
I want Kit. I want the Starship Enterprise,
yeah,
and what I got is a Commodore 64.
God, we're all thinking it's going to be Rosie from the Jetsons, right? And instead, it's the little Tamagotchi that just kind of spins around and then falls down the stairs. Doesn't do anything useful. So, all right, enough of the AI slop, right? We're all there. Now, I've been using AI to try to, refine some of my digital products and write some things and help me develop maybe coursework or blog posts or, things that ideas that I've had in my head. And it's led me towards some interesting revenue streams. I'm going to blow you up here. I'm going to bring you up. Have you had any income streams in photography that have surprised you this year? A genre, a niche, a person, an opportunity, a contract? Have there been any income streams that you got this year that you haven't had in years past?
I hate to be boring here, Chuck. I don't think so. Yeah, it's been a wild ride of
Mm-hmm.
a year
Yeah.
with income, and I can speculate, but I don't think there's been anything terribly surprising. What are you?
So I think for me, it's been looking at how I use my photography experience differently, right? So there again, I'm not swimming in Scrooge McDuck money. What I'm doing is trying to feel out what feels right and what doesn't. So I'm part of the Amazon influencer program because it's easy for me to make videos and I can just take a product and I can say, hey, this is the best gel pen that I've ever used. And it goes click, click, and it writes in black. You should think about buying one. And that's it. Short form video, but the opportunity is there. And I've already made a couple $100 doing it. And I only have a handful of videos out. I've learned from a guy who has 4,000 plus videos out there, and he does six figures a year on little videos, all these brand deals. And he works it three different ways. I've talked about this before, where you get money from the brand to make the video. Let's say it's $50, right? Then they send you the product, which you don't have to buy. You can resell that. And then there's also the maybe money, we call it, of someone clicking on that link and then buying something else, and then you get a commission from that. But that's not a dependable source. But in aggregate, that income stream, just based on the fact that I can produce some videos pretty quickly, which is why I have overhead cameras and background cameras and all that sort of stuff, so I can just create quickly using a Stream Deck. I can say, hey, here I am from this angle, and then now I'm going to go to this angle, and now I'm going to go to this angle and go overhead and do all these things. I think it's a way for me to tap into income that I didn't know was out there. I don't do a lot of it, but it's cool. Digital products. So PDF guides, courses, right? The stuff on like Gumroad or whatnot. Um, Using my email list, which is kind of a no-brainer that we should do it, but I've never really capitalized on my email list before. And these are the things that I look at and I say, wow, if I really get my shit together and I put together an actual plan, maybe I can grow some of this in measurable ways so that the photography income that I'm so dependent on feels less oppressive, that I need to get X amount of clients per month. If I can
Right.
offset it by $1,000 a month, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, this is how I'm looking at income streams and trying to diversify, saying, all right, if I'm a photographer, what can I do with products? Can I make videos? Can I take some well lit pictures? What can I do for people? Can I help them make a podcast? Can I help them shoot new headshots for their thing? I'm working my way slowly into boudoir. And just as I've never really shot this, I think I'd like to try. And I'm trying to do more intimate portraiture. So while my bread and butter is still personal branding, headshots, some fine art, I've been trying to find different ways to use those same skills in much less intensive ways, right? How do I teach other people and make a little bit of money doing that? How do I put out a digital product to make a little bit of money doing that? I think there's a lot that we can develop, but you don't know what feels good until you try it. I thought I
Right.
was going to be doing a lot more in terms of the Amazon stuff, but I realized I just don't have the time for it if I'm trying to spend a lot of time perfecting this. So in due time, I'll get there, but I just like diversity. I'm a big spread my risk out kind of guy. I don't like all my eggs in one thing, which is, brings us back to the beginning of the conversation where if you're not getting into short form video or long form video or video of any sort and you're a photographer, then you're wasting time and energy. And
Right.
if that's something that you think you want to pursue, right? I'm not going to force it on anybody, but if you're like, wow, I've got all this great gear and I don't know how to make video because it's confusing. Well, I'm like, go watch Ben's course. Go do that. Spend, a couple hours watching the course, put it into practice, and you can at least then say you tried it. And if it doesn't work or it doesn't feel good, that's fine. But try it. I think we are so focused on trying to be professional photographers that only do our certain niche that we forget that we're really just creatives at heart and we can create a lot more than just photos, than just headshots, than just fine art, than just babies and weddings and whatnot. We can do a lot more, but we have to be able to see what's possible first. So that's me. Like the income streams, I'm just walking by the table and sticking my fingers in all the pies and going, that didn't taste good. That didn't taste good. And, that way I can at least say I tried it before I
Right.
sit back when I'm 60 and going, oh, I should have started a YouTube channel back in 2025. So that's the way that I look at the income streams. Okay. Let's get back to a couple more topics and then we can kind of wrap this up. We've been going for a while. I like this. All right. So, let's see. Do we want to talk about we did that. Ooh, let's do this. What's one thing that you would tell Ben in January of 2025? And yes, I'm saying earlier this year. I'm not Chat GPT making the dates wrong. What's one thing that you would tell yourself after this year to Ben in January?
Also a really good question. Um, Shit, that's gonna hit hard too. Yeah, I think it would be you're doing all the right stuff. Keep going. It's I'm gonna tie this back to wrestling because
Mhm.
that's one of my superpowers is tying everything to professional wrestling. John Cena says a thing. It's like control the controllable. That's all, because that's all you can do, right? This year in particular has been cattywampus. A lot of things going on in the world. So I can only control what I can control. So January, Ben Markham, you're doing all the right stuff. Keep going. It's you're controlling your world. There's going to be this to get to here, and that's it. So keep going. You're you're okay.
I like that. I think a lot of us should say that to ourselves on a daily basis, not just once a year, And it's the thing, especially when you're grinding and putting in the work on a lot of different fronts, right? It can be just one front, but if you're trying to do the exercise thing, you're trying to do the business thing, and you're trying to do the relationship thing, and you're trying to be the, just the homeowner thing. All of that are individual silos of a lot of attention and a lot of energy. And I don't think we give ourselves enough credit day in and day out for just getting in the ring and fighting, right? It's easy to not do that. It's easy to just back out, punch your own ticket. It's easy to avoid, right? I'm a master at avoidance. But I think being able to just get up every day, and I'm not saying anything that is groundbreaking here, but I love thinking of the older version of me, or the version of me a year ago, and saying those exact things. Just keep going. This is going to work out. Have that little bit of faith in yourself. You're doing the right things. That's a really powerful message to say to yourself. I love that that's your answer. I love that. So I think on my side, it's similar but different. It's stay out of your own way, right? Where all of my overthinking, my desire for perfectionism and people pleasing and excuses and having to do everything correctly and learning everything before attempting, I'm just getting in my own way over and over and over. And I think the moment I started giving that up, which is kind of like back in September and October, where I really just started to get out of my own way and just do the thing. Oh my God, I'm moving at 10 times the speed that I was moving at previously. And if I knew that in January, I could have avoided 9 months of severe depression and anxiety and stress, and just had a little bit more faith in myself that trust the intuition, trust the experience and the wisdom that you've gained. You don't need another class. You don't need to learn from anybody else. What you need to do is put into practice what you have and trust yourself. And that, to me, when I don't do that, I just get in my own way and I fold and I lose the ideas or I lose the momentum. And yeah, I think that's where I would go with that, is like, just trust yourself, stay out of your own way, and good things are going to happen. That's the faith that I have anyway. We'll see if it works out. Call me in 6 months and ask me that question.
So maybe our mantra for 2026 is just execute, execute, execute.
I think that's really it. That's been a huge switch for me. I don't know if, you've kind of, it sounds like you've flipped that switch as well, but what I've learned is that when I shorten the time between idea and execution, that things just inevitably go better. I'm more engaged, I'm more passionate, right? I haven't thought through all the things that can go wrong and convince myself that it's not going to work.
Well, but that's the thing though, and I think this is actually very valuable, and this is going to be very valuable for me. It's like do the thing, and it's going to work or it's not, and if it doesn't work, who cares? Fucking move on. Just keep moving. Just go because it's so easy to think yourself into it's not going to work, so you don't do, and you don't give yourself credit for, but what if it does? So just do. If and nobody is thinking about you enough to be like, well, they tried that one fucking thing and it didn't work. Nobody
Nobody knows.
and it's back to the previous conversation of going, if to think that people are thinking about what you did yesterday is nothing but ego.
Right.
Nobody's thinking about what I did. The post that I made at 4 o'clock today, 3 million people aren't thinking about right now.
No, no.
So
And
it's yeah.
that was the conversation that I had with Sam Guillermo last week, right? About the fact that your content is boring, you're not shadow banned, right? That was the short form content that I put out.
I love that. That was so good.
And I don't mean that to be like you're a boring person and you should hang it up. It's just your content, and I had a good friend in the comments call me out a little bit And I'm so grateful for her because it clarified the point where I think a lot of the content is good. We've just become so jaded to what we see. We need that little bit of extra for the dopamine hit. So because you don't get the views or the attention on a post doesn't mean that the content's bad. What it means is that it's boring in the way that I've seen it before. I know where this is going. I can skip it. It's not going to have a big impact on my life. So you're not shadow banned. You just haven't figured out how to make your content more watchworthy, or you haven't figured a way around the algorithm, right? So in the defense world, in the gun world, right? There's a big thing where everybody's like, "Oh, I'm shadow banned. We can't post any images of people shooting and this that." And I get it. There's politics involved. That's not what I'm talking about. But so many of the companies in that world cry about the fact that their content's being banned. So the smart ones got around it by saying, they show a banana. And if you have a banana and you need to put that banana on your hip, right? And they show their holster, right? So they can sell it and they kind of get around, this is your banana holder, right? They found creative ways to get around it. And that worked. Same thing with boudoir. If you're able to get around and show things in a way that aren't going to trigger all the explicit bots, then you're doing it right. But the algorithm doesn't owe you anything. The platforms don't owe you anything. And they're certainly not looking at you as anything other than a revenue source.
No, and you have to look at it too. It's like, how do you scroll? Like when I'm just sitting around doom scrolling, it's just
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm fast as fuck about it, right? And that's no indictment on the people who are making those videos, but it's the stupid cliche of if you don't hook them that fast. And the giant creators, so the Scotty K Fitness,
Right.
the Elise Myers, the who have such a big following that they don't have to hook anymore because now they are the hook.
Mm-hmm.
It's different levels,
Yeah.
it's apples to hand grenades. So it's not an indictment on you if people are scrolling past your video. It's how the systems work.
Right. And
And
that's the
yeah,
major point, right? Is that you have to take, again, we're at ego. You have to take yourself out of the equation and look at it very objectively and say, I put this thing out there, people didn't want to buy it. So now I need to alter it if I still want people to buy it, or I come up with a different product.
right.
It's really all there is to it. And I'm going to throw up another comment here, and I believe INR Studio Connected. This is Nikki, I'm guessing. It's definitely tough, but it's something that takes creativity. Yeah, and people are finding new ways to do this stuff all the time. You have in the course, you mentioned something that I wanted to steal the idea because I've been thinking about it forever, and I didn't know really how to do it. And you showed one guy that plays vinyl records and he just puts the record on the record player and plays. I've got thousands of records downstairs and I've been collecting forever. And I listen to vinyl all the time. And I would love to share that, but I'm like, I don't want to share it. It's going to get copyright violations. It's going to be this, it's going to be that. And again, it's the overthinking getting in my own way, right? But there's value to it because it's shared experience. Someone's going to emotionally connect. That was my wedding song. That was the song that we used to smoke dope to in the woods, right? Whatever it is, there's that emotional connection.
Yeah.
And I love that we can think about things that way. How do you get around the algorithm for whatever your niche or content topic is to make a better connection with the audience rather than you just saying, here's my thing, you should buy it because I'm the face behind this thing? Make a better connection, talk better, ask better questions for yourself. And Yeah, it's one of those issues that I get a little wrapped around the axle about, because I don't think people get out of their own head enough to think, no one's thinking about you. No one cares. No one's seeing your stuff. And we're all deluding ourselves into thinking that everybody on a specific platform is going to chronologically see everything that is posted on that platform. And that ain't how it works. We all know
No.
that, right? So, all right, let's start landing this plane, shall we? In whatever disastrous way as we run out of fuel. So,
I've still got half a bottle, so I'm
oh,
here as
good
long as you.
Lord. Do I have anything left? We might. I don't know, 32 ounces of
I do
whatever
not
this is.
need a half bottle more at this time of night.
You are an amateur. So,
Oh.
this is why I don't drink anymore, right? Because I'd say something like that and just get knocked out. All
You
right.
you just triggered my old theater drink. What the hell?
Oh, I'm sure you have a long storied professional history with that bottle. And yeah, masterclass, I think would be calling that. Maybe that's your next video. All right. So I really think it comes down to big question of the night. And we've had this in the comments. Your biggest 2026 goal. Now, we've kind of touched this from different angles, with, what would we tell our younger selves, and, what are the wins and the fails and the short form video. But all that aside, looking at the year ahead, what is your biggest goal, or where are your sights set that seems to be consuming all your focus at this point in time?
I it's a multi-headed beast. We may have a Hydra situation. Um, Fine. There's financial goals.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I would love to do 300K
Mm-hmm.
this year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's gonna be work to
Yep.
make that happen. Um, Personally, physically, and I think we talked about this on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what I need this machine to look like by my next birthday
Mm-hmm.
in November, because it's getting photographed,
Yeah.
whether it likes it or not. So, the goal is set. You have to endure. Um, so that's a big goal. And for as cliche and sort of sappy as it sounds, it's to be happy, it's to be content. As we talked about before, I deal with depression, I deal with anxiety, I deal with whatever. To to be to a place to where I go, yeah, those are aspects of me, but to be able to sit back and just go, yeah, but this is good. This is good. And it's good because you built it. Nobody did this for you. You worked your ass off. You asked for nothing to be given. You earned it all. I think, yeah. And to be uber cliche, peace.
Yeah.
To be able to go, I can take a Sunday and sit and do nothing other than what I want to do and not feel guilty about it. That's huge. So yeah, that's a goal for 2026. How about you?
I love that. Before I get to that, I'm just going to toss this up since Nikki was commenting on the photos. I can't wait to see those images, Ben. And I think, I would love to see the images as well, because I think that culmination of all the hard work is going to be just a masterpiece and really emotional, really powerful. So,
I am gonna bitch about the misery of the diet the entire time,
mhm.
but the the payoff will be there.
The work's going to be great. So I think for me, I don't know, similar things. I'd like to see 200K in revenue. That doesn't have to be from photography. That is just in aggregate, right? That's gross. I'm leaning into video, clearly. I'm leaning into YouTube and making content. And I'm thinking about myself more as a content creator than a photographer these days. And that doesn't mean I'm giving up photography. What it means is that I'm zooming out a little bit to say photography is one part of my creation suite. I'm also advising people. I'm also developing things. I'm also, building podcast networks. I'm doing all of this stuff. And I think my biggest goal is to not lose the momentum, not fall back into those old habits. I can very easily quantify or qualify some of my goals. I want to hit 200K. I want to have this many clients a month. I want to be able to, have this many views on a YouTube video. Things like that. I feel when I make goals like that, I inevitably lead myself to disappointment, because if I reach the goal, the way my brain works is like, well, you should have set it higher. Like, you can't even celebrate the fact that you hit the goal. It's like you could have aimed higher. Or if I don't reach the goal, I'm like, well, there you go. You knew you weren't going to hit it. Why set goals? Right. And this is the evil side of my brain. So, what I try to do is develop goals that, whether I hit them or not, make me a better person in the process. So, if I can get out of my own way, if I can treat people around me kindly, if I can set the intention in everything that I do, like my friend Rudy, that it's based in joy and trust and love and curiosity, if I can stay to my North Star of that, that's accomplishing all my goals. I don't try to tie myself to too many things, because when I did that, I would find that I would get tunnel vision and miss opportunities around me to either interact or, work with somebody or develop something, or just sit on my porch on Sunday and not think about work and just watch my dog run in the yard and enjoy, chasing bugs. So the peace, the contentment, the harmony with life, right? Because there's no balance, it's just harmony. Finding that is truly, for me, what is fulfilling. I'd love a big fat old bank account. But then what? I've got time and money. What am I going to do with that?
Right.
Right? Am I going to feel fulfilled? I don't know. But I'd rather just feel fulfilled with or without money, with or without photography, with or without a partner. I just want to feel that peace. That's the culmination of so many years of not having it, that feels like, all right, once I'm there, I can just sit and relish it. I don't know if it'll happen, but I can envision it. And if I can envision it, then I can make it happen. And that's the way that I kind of approach everything. So, big goals, big goals. I like the fact that you're thinking in that way, the peace, the contentment. That is, it's a lofty goal, man, given the way that our minds work, but it's a noble pursuit, my friend. It's a noble pursuit. Okay. So, as we wrap up here, what can we leave the listeners with? Now, like I said, we started off with your video course. Where can people find that? Can they just go to your Instagram, or do they have to go to Gumroad? Where do they find the course that we were talking about?
If you go to my Instagram, my TikTok, whatever,
Mhm.
if you go to the link tree, it is linked in the link tree. You'll find it there. Um, yeah, and if anybody checks it out and has questions, let me know. Because if I need to add sections on, I'll add sections on, or I'll just, I'll let you know. But yeah, that's where you can find it. And it is on Gumroad.
Mhm.
I I'm very new to Gumroad, so you may just be able to search me there and find it.
Mhm.
I don't know. Good question.
Okay. Well, I'll put it in the show notes of this anyway. Um, and my plan is to finish watching it this week and work through all the modules and see if I can get off this long form train and do a little bit more with the short form. And I'm telling you, man, if you help me do that. Like if that's what gets me over the hump, I am coming down there with a case of whatever bourbon you'd like. Yeah, I know you live in Kentucky. You probably don't need any bourbon, but you know,
Yes, I do.
the the effort is there, the thought is there. So, all right, my friend, I'm going to let you go. Thank you for this. I'm excited to see kind of what you do next year and where this all goes. And I think anybody that's out there listening, if you want to chime in the comments, below, look at me, I'm like trying to do the future thing. Chime in the comments below. Let us know, what are your goals? What are you guys looking forward to? What do you want to see for yourselves? What do you want to see from us as creators? What do you want to see from Ben? What do you want to see from me? Let me know. The more that I can understand what you guys want, the better we can build this whole community. So if you got ideas, you got goals, or if you just want to yell at me for something I said, please, I'm open to it. And I will give you Ben's phone number and you can tell him all about how much you hate me. So
Just use the DMs on Instagram. Don't call me. I'm sleepy.
I don't call anybody. I don't call anybody. I give you a half a text. Oh, I might send you a you up text, around 4 a.m. See how you're doing.
And I'll be like, no, sleeping.
Yeah, I'm going to the gym and I hate it. I hate it.
Not at 4 a.m. God, what's wrong with you?
So many things. We'll get into that list later. But all right, man, hang out for a minute while I shut this whole thing down. But thank you, my friend. And here's to a happy new year for you and Heather, and safe going into the new year. So I'll talk to you
as well.
soon. All right, brother.
Cheers.
Bye.